What is up, guys? Once again, we're back talking about precious stones. In this video, we want to talk about a metamorphic rock. A very beautiful and unique stone called Lapis Lazuli, or you could say the short version, Lapis. Just like plenty of other gemstones, Lapis is an extremely old stone that formed for millions of years until we found it. Throughout history, humans using this stone has a very long history itself. It has been more than 7,000 years since humans discovered it and started using it for different purposes, and it's mainly found in ancient India and Egypt. Until then, Lapis didn't have a true mine, so they would find different pieces throughout the world and bring it back to their kingdom to use. The history of the first Lapis mine that was found around the world was around 2,700 years ago in modern-day Badakhshan in Afghanistan. If you've seen our video about turquoise, you're familiar with this mask. An ancient mask called Tatun Khatum, which was an ancient Egyptian pharaoh with a lot of gold and a lot of gemstones. This beautiful mask was formed a very long time ago. Of course, there's other gemstones, but around the eyes and the eyebrows, you can find lapis. Lajavard is the original Persian name in ancient times. When it entered the Arabic language, it turned into Lazuli, and of course, through the Arabs, they took it to Europe, and that's where it turned into lapis, and in English, you still call it lapis. In Farsi, this word means the sky or heaven, and Persian poet Ferdowsi says, as the sun struck the dome of Lazuli, a golden curtain was drawn most truly. In this poem, lapis is referred to as the sky or heaven. Throughout history, the Badakhshan mine was the most important lapis mine in the world. From the other side, this stone would go to India and China, and from the other side, it would go through the Middle East to the Egypt and Europe. Even though the mine was found 2,700 years ago, but it has been used for much longer than that. The Akkadians used it, the Assyrians used it, the Babylonians and the Sumerians, and they have written about it. The statue you're seeing comes from Sumeria around 4,400 years ago, and its eyes is made from lapis. This statue is located in the Louvre Museum in France. The experts that studied this statue say the lapis that is used in the eyeball came from Badakhshan, Afghanistan. So that shows the Sumerians knew that this place has a lot of lapis, but they weren't familiar with mining an area. Ancient Egyptians known lapis as a good luck stone, and they would usually wear it as a necklace. When the ancient Romans took over Egypt, they see something and write it down. They would write when Cleopatra would wear makeup, one of the many things she did was put blue eyeliner, which was made from lapis dust. In Christianity, lapis is known as Virgin Mary's stone. There is a lot of writings in the Old Testament by Jewish people about sapphire. Of course, you guys know sapphire is one of the precious gemstones, which there's only 4 of them. It's a very beautiful, distinct color. But back in the day, they would mistake lapis lazuli with sapphire. Jewish historians refer to the sapphire in the Old Testament and say they were talking about lapis lazuli. What is lapis made up of anyways? Of course, like any other stone, there's a whole lot of different molecules, but it consists a lot of sulfur. The blue color comes from sulfur as well, but that's only if there is 3 sulfur atoms on one molecule, which is called trisulfur. But if the sulfur atoms are 2 or 1, they don't create a blue color, but rather a distinct yellow color. It's interesting to note that there is a unique version of lapis that has 4 sulfur atoms per molecule, which looks red. So what can we use lapis for? Between different types of gemstones, lapis is very easily polished, and they've known this since back in the day because it was very forgiving to work with, and that was the reason they would sometimes mistake lapis with sapphire. But sapphire is extremely rare compared to lapis, and of course much more expensive, and that's why sapphire is part of the 4 precious gemstones and lapis is not. Do you see the statue? It came from 2600 years ago from ancient Egypt. It's 100% made from lapis lazuli, and it's basically the god of industry in ancient Egypt, a god called Pita. It really is a god of industry the way they worked on it, because they took a whole piece of lapis and carved it into the statue, and that's quite impressive. It's very small too, it's only 5.5 centimeters. But let's get to know the stone itself a little bit better. Which ones are the most expensive? If the piece of lapis is not uniform in color and it's very random like this and it's missing blue colors, it's the least quality one and it's not that expensive. The more beautiful the color and uniform it is, the price goes higher and higher, kind of like this, where it's a very pure blue color and it's not changing colors drastically. Lapis is not made in a lab, but it does have a cheaper version, a stone called sodalite. Sodalite kind of resembles lapis, and if you don't know what you're looking for, you could mistake it for lapis, but it's extremely common compared to it, and that is why it's much cheaper. So if you're buying lapis, make sure you do your research so you don't get scammed and buy sodalite without knowing. Lapis is sold by grams, unlike other precious gemstones and gemstones, which is sold by carats. Carats is basically 0.2 grams. You can't really calculate a piece of lapis in your head because it could have a price of $5 per gram, or it could go as high as $25,000 per gram, and it all has to do with the quality and the way it looks. The best kind of lapis, just like we said, comes from Badakhshan, Afghanistan. But of course, there are other mines around the world that have this stone. Mines in Russia, Italy, the US, and Myanmar. In different religions around the world, they have their own certain beliefs about lapis lazuli, which we won't get into in this video because this is not a religious channel. Before we let you go, please comment and let us know what you think about this precious stone.